Okay, we're going to get started here. Trying to make the habit of starting about a minute early, just to make sure there are no snafus, technical snafus. We've got a little bit of a different setup here today. I connected the live stream camera to my desktop, which is connected to a just Ethernet. So I've got a lot higher internet speed. So hopefully you're going to see a little bit higher, better quality. Other than the background is still just my audio, my office. But never mind that. We're just trying to roll forward and get messages out there and experiment around with this. So that's okay. So hey, thank you very much for being with us today. If you're here streaming, great. If you're watching this in the future through just our website or through any of our social media channels, that's awesome too. Welcome. I wanted to do a brief video today just for anybody who hasn't gotten the message first. I want to make sure that I put out there again that we are doing conversions and refunds and convert/donate the difference for our physical conference. We run this conference IoT Fuse. We've run it for the past, this would have been our 6th year. We've run it the past 5 years, and now we're doing a completely virtual conference. We're under the process of experimenting around with transitioning a physical to a virtual. That's what Internet of Things is all about. And so as much as there's a lot of horrific stuff going on in the world right now, we're trying to figure out and explore how to make the best of it and how to use our technical knowledge to build solutions. So if you've already signed up as a part of our conference in the past and you'd like to join, we are offering the ability for you to convert your ticket over to a $19 ticket, or to donate the difference of your ticket to our cause towards what we're trying to do here, or simply to just get a refund for whatever reason. Just email us from the email that you have already signed up for IoT Fuse with, and we'll make sure that that happens. So I just want to make sure I'm still getting that out there. I probably need to put some sort of a deadline on when those refunds happen by, just because things are going to get busier and busier as we run into producing the actual conference. So please let me know as soon as you get this message or one of our other emails that we're sending out. So this updates, podcast, blog, whatever you want to call it, video blog, is I'm sort of thinking of going a few different directions with it. One is I could talk about the Internet of Things. I could talk about just my thoughts and learnings about the Internet of Things in general. I could talk about live streaming and kind of moving forward into the new world that we're moving into, and make some speculations, some ideas based upon what should we expect to see in the future, and where do we all think this is moving, and what kinds of information am I picking up from our community. But I could also just sort of do an entrepreneurial ride-along. There's probably a lot of people who are thinking about, how do I transition my physical business, or what I've done physically, into now a connected digital business? I know a lot of people are using Zoom and Skype and all of these things, but what about if you want to do a mass event? What if you want to do a lot of programming at once and get a lot of people together? What are some ways to do that, and what might a business model look like? So some big things that we've seen last week are that there seems to be, a massive recession on the forefront, perhaps as massive as even the Great Depression. We're not really sure how things will pan out. There's a lot of stimulus packages being debated and talked about in Congress right now. There's already been a huge lowering of interest rates down to 0 for the first time in history, and that could go even lower. There's just a lot of confusion going on. So the recession could become really, really bad, or there could be some sort of stimulus that helps us get through things, and maybe there's sort of a boost in the future. We really just don't know. But I thought it would be very interesting to at least look at what kinds of businesses did well in the last recession, particularly weighting towards tech businesses, since we're a tech podcast, blog group here. So I just want to show you some businesses that I found and talk through those. And then whatever you're doing, whatever you might be engaged in, whether you're an industrial Internet of Things engineer or a product manager, or whether you're just anyone thinking about this, whether you're an entrepreneur of any kind or business person of any kind, what are some clues or cues we might take from the last recession, and what things did well as we look forward over the next 10 years? What should we expect, and how should we maybe be thinking? So let me just share this with you. I actually did not do this research. I found this on a Reddit forum, so I don't want to take full credit. It was under Reddit Entrepreneur, and so I'm not a fan of these businesses. I don't necessarily use any of these products at all, but I'm just showing you some data, some interesting stuff from, again, this isn't my original research. This is just some stuff that was put together by someone else under Reddit Entrepreneur Forum. So the first one, again, I don't endorse this, or I'm not a fan or anything, but the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, if you haven't heard of that, it's Joe Rogan. He was on, he's a celebrity, so you might not be a celebrity, so that right there, it could make it a lot more difficult for you. But he basically, he hosted Fear Factor. He was on news radio way back in the 90s, and he's kind of this comedian slash MMA fighter dude. And he just got really fascinated with the idea of podcast, and he started doing a podcast and just kept growing more and more and more users. He tries to investigate the weird edges of society, and he tries to kind of, I guess, play both sides of the political spectrum and bring on guests, bring on very high-end, weird guests that you wouldn't expect in a talk show. And he tries to have a comfortable conversation with them. He tries to have a comfortable conversation with uncomfortable people. And I have no idea how they make money, but evidently they do 30 million per year. It's probably in advertising and YouTube advertising. It's mostly on YouTube. It seems to be his main channel. And that was just started in 2009. And I guess the important part of this one is it's free to listen to. I think that's the key here. And it also took him a long time to build that. So he started that in 2009. Another one, Okta. I had never actually heard of Okta, but it also started in 2009, right after the big, huge crash. It had a $6 billion valuation in 2017. So it might be good to double check where Okta is now and what's going to happen to them. But they basically target enterprise businesses and give you a single sign-on for many, many different accounts, sort of like a LastPass or a password manager for enterprise. So that, I thought that was interesting. Bitly, if you're a marketer, that's going to be very familiar. It's a URL shortening service, but more than that, it's a link tracker. So it gives you the ability to track links and follow how many people have clicked on a particular URL. If you want to send out a URL to iotfuse.com/updates, that's may not be enough. You may want to very quickly and easily see what was the traffic and how many people actually clicked on that. I think, so they did extremely well. They started in 2008 in the thick of the crisis, and then they sold majority stake for $63 million to Google. And I think another key thing is they were free to use. This is Balsamiq. I didn't put the name on here, but Balsamiq is essentially just a desktop software that allows you to lay out web pages, and you can put, or actually just let web page designs, I should say. So you can put boxes, you can put text and tabs and all sorts of symbols and pictures. It's very simple to use. You just drag and click, and it's a desktop software. They may have a cloud software as well, but it's basically software for designers. Started in 2008, $6 million annual revenue. I'm sure that will probably go up, because there's going to just be more and more web stuff, depending on what happens, if they can survive this. But again, very key, there's a free version. Stack Overflow. A lot of engineers are probably familiar with Stack Overflow, or coders or developers. It's just a Q&A website forum for programmers. It's a lot of the secrets of the programming world. I'm sorry to reveal the secret if there's anybody watching and they don't want their coworkers or their bosses to know. But a lot of what you do is you just go on Stack Overflow for a lot of questions, and if you're stuck with a bug, it doesn't replace good programming practices and good software, but it's just a really great way to help if you're stuck. And so they do 60 million estimated annual revenue, also started in 2008, also free to use. WhatsApp, I think we all know what WhatsApp is. Very obvious messaging app. They sold to Facebook for 19 billion. This is free to use and much more about network edge density. And I think a lot more people are familiar with this. It's basically just an instant messaging app for your phone. GitHub, similar to maybe more in the Stack Overflow kind of family of products, but it's not a discussion forum as much as it is hosting for software development. So you can easily push and manage and track versioning of code. This started in 2008, sold to Microsoft for 7.5 billion in 2018. Again, free to use. I didn't put that on the slide here, but it's free to use, and just has an incredible amount of value for free. And then they have a paid version. Quora, another Q&A website, kind of like Stack Overflow, but much more in the realm of just general knowledge and opinions, spouting off opinions and things like that. Started in 2009, 1.8 billion valuation, 2017. Not sure where they are now, but for at least during that period of time, they did very well. So I think the key takeaways here, again, whether you're a internet entrepreneur or Internet of Things entrepreneur, or maybe you're interested in machine learning or any other kind of business, is right now, if things continue to go poorly, which it seems like they will, you just have to keep in mind people don't have money anymore. So adoption needs to be free or extremely easy for users to adopt, right? Or at least this is one takeaway from the collection of companies that I've put together here. And then the other thing was, none of these companies were an overnight success. They all had an extremely long time frame, 10 years. Maybe that's not extremely long. They had a long time frame. They weren't looking at trying to turn things around within a few years, and maybe that's just a general good business practice anyway. You should probably always take on the long-term approach. You should always be thinking 10 years in the future, and how do you build value, and how do you be patient. It's not about that quick, easy money. You hear about those stories, but that's not usually what works out. And so I know things are looking bleak right now. I know it's not fun to think about and look at the news right now and wonder what's going to happen to all of our fellow country people, what's going to happen to people around the world. It just seems like a lot of people are going to be in a lot of pain. And this recession is on top of that, almost kind of naturally. But as you think about what do you want to do with your life next, don't lose hope, but think, where are the opportunities and how can you adjust your mind towards what the future will bring? Seems like a lot of it's going to be about cheap adoption, long time frames, make it very, very easy for your users to adopt, figure out how to build value and build business models around that. So that's probably all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for watching. Again, message us, email us, let us know how you're doing, let us know how we can help. Thanks, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at the same time, 12:30.